Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today I'm going to be breaking down 10 of the funnest saves that you can do in Football Manager 22. We're at a point in the year now where the game can become a bit stale if you've not already got a save going, or possibly you're bored of your current save. So today I'm going to be going over 10 saves which you have to do if you haven't done them. Before we do get into it though, guys, please do leave this video a like. Be sure to subscribe to the channel as well if you do enjoy the content, and please do also drop a comment below of any saves that you've done this Football Manager. But let's get into save one. So the first save is going to be with Bordeaux in the French league. They actually got relegated for the first time since the 1990 to 1991 season last year. And it all depends on how you have your databases set up. You guys can either play with them in the French League 1 and try and avoid that relegation, or what I would highly advise is for you to download the new database, which is going to be on Sort It Out SI's website, and that will pretty much put you at the end of the season. Just for this video purpose, I've not done that because I'm just going to talk about the club and obviously what you can do. I like to give you two options, but this is a really good save to do, guys, because in my opinion, it would be better if you were able to, if you did use the database which had them relegated, because then it's going to be more of a rebuild, and it's a bit of a shock relegation for them as well. I mean, you heard when I said they last got relegated absolutely years ago, so something which is, I imagine, come quite as a big shock to them. But what I'm going to do with every single club is talk a little bit about the club. I'm going to look into the club background, as I just did there, with a bit of history about, when they last got relegated, etc, etc. Look at the finances, look at the squad, and just really say and talk about how you can sort of, impact this save and, go from there. But as you can see, the finances aren't even that bad, really. You don't get a huge budget. You get about 4 million to work with, 239k in the wage budget. Secure status, though, so you're not going into a club that is, completely broken when it comes to that. Training facilities are sitting at 3.5, youth facilities are sitting at 4, so reasonable youth facilities going into the job there. And if we look at the squad, which we will do, it's quite a small squad, so definitely something that you need to work on. But it's not a very old squad at all. A lot of younger players in here, a couple of older players here. But if we go sort of, we'll rank by ability. We've got some players here who can do, who look quite good, to be honest. I mean, you've got Hwang Yu-jo there, who's obviously a right-hand side midfielder or winger, advanced playmaker. Looks very decent. He is 28, so one of the more senior players, but definitely someone who you can sort of build around and work with. Remy Udin, again, a player that does play on that right, but can play on the left as well. So I would advise probably playing wingers in this tactic to start off with, or this save, sorry, because you have got a couple of good wingers there. This guy's getting slightly older now, but again, a very good midfielder, advanced playmaker. So there are good sort of, there's a good foundation in this team is the word I'm trying to find there. Like I said, you are going to have to, if we go down a little bit and look for a striker, you've got a person here, actually Josh Marshall, we know who this guy is. He's actually contracted as well, he's not on loan. A fantastic striker, good potential, will do brilliant things in this division. And like I said, there's a mixture of real good players in this team. And obviously, it is a sort of a save which you are going to have to rebuild, and hopefully that's what you guys are looking for. Like I said, I would highly advise that you download the up-to-date database, because then you're going to be placed in the French League 2, and that will give you that extra sort of storyline, You're going to have to get out of that division, go back up into French League 1, and hopefully you can compete and knock PSG off being the top all the time. But overall, a club that's got great history and a save which I would really recommend. Obviously, long term, the idea would be, if you start in the French League 2, would be to get promoted and have you need a couple of seasons, possibly 3 or 4, to really compete with PSG to get this team to where they need to belong. But then go beyond that, guys. I mean, go for your Europa Leagues, go for your Champions League, and just push on with the club. But no, a really interesting save. So that is going to be save 1. Let's hop over into save 2. So the next save is going to be with actually Hertha Berlin. They're a great side of the Bundesliga. Last year, though, they did have their issues. They survived relegation literally by the skin of their teeth. Hardly anything kept them in the Bundesliga, but they managed to stay up. But the thing that I really like about this club is they've got, they've got great training facilities, they've got good youth facilities, but it's also the fact that they actually have reasonable finances. Like, you don't get a massive budget, but you always see when you're a few years into a save how the Hertha Berlin, team do bring in some really good players. So it is definitely a team which, obviously, you are starting in the highest German division. You are going to start in the Bundesliga, but by no means of the imagination are they anywhere near being able to win it. You would need a few seasons to probably strengthen that team. But why I suggested this is because, obviously, it's just it's such a decent team. I'm going to show you the squad in a minute. The team is really good, and obviously you hear in real life that there are certain, you know, factors that play into it. Apparently there's a lot of issues with the players, maybe not getting on, staff, etc. And I feel like this could be a really interesting save because you've got the resources, not as much as like Bayern Munich and probably not as much as Dortmund and Leipzig, but for a few years you guys can definitely turn this club into the best team in Germany. And if we have a little look at this then, so if we go into the squad, like I said, they've got a reasonable size squad as well, which is always good. We'll go by position, or actually this will be a better way of doing things. If we literally just do this and go pick without restriction and go best 11, that'll give us a rough idea. So yeah, we've got some good players in here. We'll break down some of the key players that we sort of know. So obviously this guy I know is going to be slightly older, 31 years old, but trust me, Jovetic can get you a goal. I actually signed him when he was 33 in one of my online saves, and he was really good. So just for a couple of seasons, guys, honestly, give him a chance. He's really good. And we know who this guy is. Luki Bacchio, sorry if I butchered that name, but again, very, very good player, actually on loan at Wolfsburg. So, I mean, to be honest, when he comes back, I wouldn't loan him out again. I'll keep him because he's a very, very good player, and I would not let Wolfsburg have him. A very good player, especially if you are going to play wingers. But again, he can do a job up front as well. Definitely better on the wing, though, so I would play him there. We then have the likes of Desoran on the left-hand side. Again, great potential, 23 years old, reasonable attributes as well. One thing that you see a lot in these sort of French teams, in these German teams, sorry, they might start off with a low ability, but they've always got great potential. And if you treat them right, you put them through the right training, they perform well. They've got a real good chance of performing, guys. They honestly do. We're then going to go into the midfield. You've got the likes of Derrida, who, again, reasonable for this division. Like I said, the one thing I really like about this team is that you haven't got world-class players in these positions, but you've got players that can easily do better than what they've done in real life, which is obviously just about survive. So you guys can easily match that and go beyond that. Also got Tossart in there as well. Again, quite a good player, 24 years old, so got a little bit of room to grow as well. We then go into the deep line playmaker, or however you decide to play in this role. We've got Escobar there. Again, definitely the most defensively solid one. 18 tackling, 17 work rate, 17 stamina. A very, very good player at 24 years old. A player which I imagine you guys would want to be keeping as much as you can before he gets poached. We then go into a couple of the fullbacks. Reasonable fullback on the left. On the right, reasonable. This is what I mean. You guys are going to have a pretty average player, but decent players in every position. Obviously, we know who Boyata is. We've seen a bit of him in real life. Again, a very good centre-half. Probably your best centre-half, I imagine. Let's have a quick look. But equal this guy, to be fair. But 24 years old, 30 years old. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's another young centre-half in here if we look. We go defenders. Centre defender, you got 24, 26. You've got a lot of options in this squad, guys. You really do. And as for the finances, you're sort of looking at, again, a roughly about 4 million, 100% of revenue available to you, £842,000 a week on the wages. And like I said, I just feel like this would be a real, real good save for people that do like to play in the top flight of German football and want to take a club that, to be honest, is lucky to be in the division. They were very close to going down. Luckily, they did stay up because that would be a disaster for them if they did go down. But definitely a save I'd recommend. And if you do this, guys, let me know who you sign because it's really interesting to see what players people bring in when they take on a challenge like this. But let's get in to idea or save number 3. Before we do get into save number 3 though, guys, if you are enjoying this video, I know it's a slightly different one, but please do leave this video a like, drop a comment below of what save you think you're going to do, and please do subscribe to the channel as well. It means a lot, it helps the channel grow, and you'll never miss an upload. But let's get in to save number 3. Now, if you guys want a real challenge, you want a club where you've got to turn it around purely for the fans, it is going to be Saint-Étienne, a team that do find themselves in the French League 2. Obviously, to do that, you would have to use the up-to-date database or something. I 100% recommend for this one, even more than Bordeaux. The way that they went out was so dramatic. They went out on penalties. The fans invaded the pitch. Players were getting chased down. It was really, it was not great to see. Obviously, Saint-Étienne fans absolutely gutted to go down into the French Division 2. And this is going to be a job which, you know, you got to do it for the fans, guys, because they're a passionate bunch. They really are. But one thing I would say with this is, like I said, make sure you use the up-to-date database so you do get put into League 2. You are going to have slightly stricter finances. You're going to have about 2 million. You're actually overspending in the wage already as you take the job on, but you're not completely broken down. Obviously, you are going down the league, so you're not going to be able to bring in world-class players right from the rip. But in terms of the, actual club info, it's not too bad, guys. They've got decent youth, great training facilities. The junior coaching and youth recruitment could be a little bit better, but obviously this is what you guys are here for. You're here to make it better, and it is going to take a while. Obviously, you see a little fact file here, founded in 1919. It's just the way, I don't know if you guys, so if you haven't seen it, before you start this save, go onto YouTube and type in Saint-Étienne penalty shootout knockout. It was, or relegation knockout. It was honestly ridiculous to see. It was so much going on, and I don't think the fans expected it. And when it happened, they couldn't control the emotions. If we go into the squad then, so we've got Etienne Green, obviously this guy, a very, very good keeper, 20 years old. To be honest, I don't think you'd ever need to sign a goalkeeper. He is a very, very good player. He's got great potential. And why sign one when you've got one there literally pre-made for you? We've got one more backup goalkeeper, so that's fine there. We'll go by the ability here. So we've got a defender on the right-hand side who looks very good, 25 years old. Very, very good attributes on him as well. Not the tallest, but I'm sure that isn't too much of an issue, unless, you're coming against a really tall winger. We then go into Dennis Bouanga in midfield, who plays on the left. Again, a reasonable player. A lot of these teams do have very good wingers, so I would recommend playing with a bit of width because you don't want to get rid of your best players. We then have Mudoki, I think that's how you say that, I do apologise, who's a centre-half. Again, very decent, 24 years old. Potential's up there in the 4-star ability region. Quite tall as well. Reasonably good at tackling, good strength. Not the quickest necessarily, but he'd definitely do a job to start with. And obviously, for the first season, possibly first couple of seasons, you are going to have to work with the players you have because you're going to be in a lower division of French football. You're not going to be able to attract superstars at the end of the day. Also, you won't have the money to attract superstars. So you do have to work with sometimes what you got. We're then going to get another defender. So what I'm seeing from this is you guys have got a lot of defenders to work with, like a lot of defenders. If we go to position quickly then, and we go to some of the strikers, we've got Charles Abbey there, who is not the best, I'm going to be honest, but again, you guys, this is the whole point of taking on a challenge like this. You're going to have to turn these players into the players you want. He's not the best even when it comes to potential, but at the end of the day, he is 21. He probably could get you a few goals. You've also got, as a striker, you've got Crasso, who again is very similar, probably not as good. So my advice with this is if you can't sign someone, try and loan someone in. If not, try and use this guy and get him going. He's quite tall, so I mean, it's probably why he's not the quickest. His finishing's not the best either, but again, in this sort of team, you're not going to... First off, you're going to be playing in French League 2 for a season, so the defenders aren't going to be as strong. So hopefully he can have one hell of a season in that division, and then you can always replace him when you get into the higher French tier. But no, I genuinely think, guys, this would be a very, very fun save. Purely, I think it'd be a lot funner if you guys actually went and watched how they got knocked out, because honestly, it was so dramatic. The drama was unreal. But definitely go and check that out, guys. And seriously, try this save because it is a very fun save and one that I wish I would have done. And moving on, let's get into save 4. So next up, I'm pretty sure we've all heard of this. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have probably done a Schalke one, but for people that haven't, if you want a real challenge in German football, this is where you want to be. Obviously, they do find themselves promoted back into the main Bundesliga division, but if you want to go for a real challenge, play on an old database. Don't play on the new sort of custom database. Stay in the second tier of Bundesliga and get promoted yourself, because it is a challenge, and I feel like it makes this save a lot more personal because you can really work them from, the second tier all the way up and eventually start competing. Because a few years ago, guys, these were actually towards the top of the table fighting, even getting results against Bayern Munich. So they do deserve to be right back up the top fighting, and it's down to you guys to do that. But the one thing about this, I will be honest, despite having great training facilities, very good youth facilities, the junior coach and youth recruitment isn't the best. And one thing I will say is the transfer budget is very tight. The club's obviously in a lot of debt in real life, so you are going to be in a situation where you probably will play with a lot of these first team players and you'll be forced into selling them. And although that is annoying, you guys have to understand that you need to get yourself out of debt, get the club back on its feet, and then there could be an opportunity for them to start reinvesting again. But you will start off with £0 to spend, so nothing you can really do there. The wage budget isn't in the red, but the overall balance is in the red, so you're not going to be able to sign anyone, many people, if anyone, at all. So purely for the first season, that's why I recommend that you do start in the Bundesliga 2, because the team that they've got is more than capable of getting promoted, as we've seen in real life. So I feel like that first season is a good rebuild season. Because if you put yourself in the Bundesliga with this team with no money, you might find it very difficult to even stay up. But let's have a quick look at the squad then. So there's a few people we definitely would have heard of in here. The likes of Farman. Again, a reasonable ability goalkeeper, obviously quite old. And a lot of these players, you know, not a lot of them actually, a few of these players are older. But one thing I will say is they have got an absolute ton of potential. A ton of potential. And what we're going to do is, guys, we are literally just going to do this because I've just realized how long this video is going to be if I go through every single player. I'm going to show you sort of like the starting lineup, and then we're going to go into the next save and so forth and so forth. But no, obviously Kabak, we've seen him before, a very good centre back, reasonable potential as well, only 21 years old. Other than that, guys, I mean, we've seen this guy. This is I always cannot say this last name, Tom Krafts, I think that's how you say that. Again, a very decent midfielder when it comes to this. But you guys have got a, you see, obviously I've seen Harrod there as well, a player which I'm pretty sure we would have heard of, but Mole as well. They have got some reasonable players, guys. They really do. And this guy this will be a player who will be hard to keep. He's a very good player, and obviously a player that in the Bundesliga too will probably cause a lot of issues. This guy's actually reasonably good as well. He's 33. He's got 16 finishing, 6'4", so more of a target man. But you will find yourself developing players, especially in the first season, guys. You'll fall in love with these players, and they will get poached. But it's down to you to obviously rebuild it, because the board will be tempted to sell because they need the money. But overall, I think this is probably this is by far the toughest challenge in Germany of the big clubs that are known. So I would honestly recommend giving this a go. It's definitely harder than the Hertha Berlin one, especially if you start in Bundesliga 2, because you've got to rebuild the team in many ways. You've got to rebuild them financially. You've got to rebuild the team. You've got to get them back up to where they belong. And it's going to be a few seasons before you guys, you know, are really competing at the top of the Bundesliga, and then possibly even more seasons until you're competing consistently in the Europa League, the Champions League. So there's a lot of seasons to be played with this, and it's a save which I really recommend you guys do if you're bored, because I know how Football Manager gets. Sometimes you play one save the entire year, you have enough of it, you're like, I'm not playing this anymore. You get bored, you want ideas, and this is going to be one of the best ideas I can honestly suggest. Now, the next one is going to be one that you've probably not seen anyone suggest, because this is more of one which I thought right on the top of my head, because I'm a big fan of Roma purely because of Mourinho. But when I looked at it, I looked at a little bit of the history of the club. They last won the league in the 2000 to 2001 season. So they're starved of success, really, when it comes to actually winning their own title in the Serie A. So when it comes to me, and I looked at the table in the Serie A, if you look at the Serie A, there's a lot of competitive teams in it nowadays. You've obviously got Milan, you've got Inter. On this game in particular, you've also got the likes of Juventus and Napoli who could challenge. And obviously you've also got like an underdog in Atalanta if they made some signings. So the division is really competitive, and I feel like this could be a real fun save, because it's going to take a few years to really build a completely dominant team in the Serie A. And I always enjoy playing in the Serie A when I play Football Manager. I don't know why. And Roma are just a club that have got so much history. Obviously, you can see that they're founded in 1927. They've got 4.5-star training, 5-star youth facilities, 4-star youth recruitment, 2.5-star junior coaching, so not the best there. If we go into the finances, you've also got a reasonable budget, not the most, but definitely a budget that will increase, so not a club that finds themselves in lots of debt. And if we go into the tactics, the team that they have is really good to sort of build off. They've got the likes of Patricio in goal, formerly of Wolves, I believe. They've got Karlstop at right back, again, a very good right back there. They've got Mancini and Ibanez at the back. They've also got a very good bench, which I'll go through in a second. Obviously, Matic and Smalling as well, former Manchester United players. You've got Spinazzola, obviously that guy that had a fantastic Euros, I believe it was. Then move into the midfield. Obviously, you got Matic you can play. You got Dewara you can play. You got Kundwala. There's a lot of players you can play in this team. There really is. But they're put in Vertut, Pellegrini, Cristante. Obviously, Pellegrini, a very good player there. Quite a hot prospect in the Serie A. 25 years old. Good ability on him as well. Obviously, the front three are really good. You've got El Shaarawy, getting old now, but definitely got a couple of seasons in him. Tammy Abraham, a fantastic forward who's thriving under Mourinho. And Zanillo on the right, who again is a very good winger. And the reason why I think this would be a very good save is because they're not clear favourites to win the league. And I think each season is going to be a fight for the division. And That's why I think it would be quite fun, because it's going to take a long time for you guys to build a team that is so dominant. There's no fighting going on at all. And then even to win like the Europa League, the Champions League with like this side is going to be massive. Obviously in the first season, if you start without the up-to-date database, you are going to find yourself in the Europa Conference League. So it's a perfect chance to get a trophy under your belt. Obviously, you should be able to win that even without making any signings. But if you guys do want to try a save in the Italian league, I highly recommend Roma, guys, because I don't think they're as dominant as Inter Milan and AC Milan when it comes to finances and stuff like that. But they've got a lot of history, great team. And like I said, it's a good story you can build there. But let's get into the next save. Now, this is for the ones that love to spend money on Football Manager. Obviously, I imagine you guys can imagine this would be in here. I just said imagine a lot, didn't I? But I knew you guys would, you know, this is always going to be in the top saves to do because it is a really fun save to do. Newcastle United, obviously a club which necessarily aren't the best at finishing high up in the table in the Premier League just yet. But they recently got taken over, as we are aware of, and there is a huge cash injection going on. And this is one of the funnest saves to do if you want a complete rebuild going on. If you love watching your rebuild videos, you love watching people turn clubs around, this is the one you want to do, guys, because it is honestly incredible. Just the finances you've got available to you, and you have to completely rebuild the club because obviously, as you can see by the training, the youth, the junior coaching and the youth recruitment, it's not the best. And there is so much to work on. Obviously, it's going to be quite a few seasons before you start challenging for the title, but definitely something that you can go for. Obviously, you've then also got Europa competitions. You've got Europa League, Champions League, all of this stuff, as well as English Cups. So there's a lot to compete for. And obviously, although the money's there, you have to make sure you make the right signings. And that's why I put this always in. This isn't in any order, by the way. Like this, how I've listed these, they're not in no order. They're just the top 10 saves, no order. But if I was to order them, this would be towards the top because it is really fun to have that budget available to you. And the fact that you can sign, you have to be careful who you sign as well because you can't go out and pull an Mbappe because you won't want to join. But you can go out and sign some real hot prospects and then develop them into a great, you know, get a great first team going. But if we look at the finances, then it is crazy. You've got 113 million to spend in your first season. That is without installments as well. So obviously you can install some of these players, so you could pay 30 up front, 60 in installments, and you still keep most of your transfer budget, right? Wage budget, you've got a filthy wage budget as well. You've got a lot of wage to spend, and for a team like this, it is honestly crazy. Moving into the squad, this is exactly what I meant. Despite them making some decent signings already, you are going to have to do a lot of transfer business because there's a lot of players in this team who you could look to offload that possibly are old. The likes of now, they have actually got 4 goalkeepers. Do you need 4 goalkeepers? No. They obviously brought in Nick Pope, which is one hell of a signing. Going to be the starting goalkeeper, in my opinion. You could honestly just keep Nick Pope and Dubravka and sell these two if you wanted to. Moving into the back, definitely something that needs strengthening. Obviously, they do find themselves bringing in Botman, who is a very, very good centre-half. I don't actually know how they managed to get him over all the clubs that were interested, but a very good centre-half, so they've done you a favour there. And if you guys want to know how I get these up-to-date signings, it is by using the Source It Out SI sort of up-to-date database when it comes to that. There's 2 databases, guys, basically. Hood Gaming, there's a very good video on it, titled, I believe, How to Play Football Manager 23 Now. It basically shows you how to install both databases, and it is something I would recommend. And obviously, with this one, it doesn't really matter if you decide to start off next season in the Premier Division. You can just use the current database because, you know, it's not as if they were in the Championship, so it doesn't really matter. But then moving on then, so they've got a reasonable defense, but definitely there's a few old players in there, and you know, even Trippier, you could have him for a couple of seasons and then bring in a really youthful hot prospect. You got Matty Target there as well again. Dan Burn, obviously a player they signed not so long ago. You got Bruno in, who's a fantastic midfielder. But again, you could even argue that you might want to bring in another midfielder because you've got the money to do so. So why not bring in another sort of quality midfielder? You got a few old players here that definitely you could look to offload as well. Obviously, going forward, you got the likes of Ryan Fraser, you got Jolinton, Almiron, St. Maximin, Chris Wood, Callum Wilson, Dwight Gale. Again, if you're not into playing as like a target forward, why not get rid of Chris Wood and bring in an absolute, you know, you could get a really good striker. You're not going to be able to attract your Mbappes and all them guys, but you could bring in a real good striker. Someone like Patrick Schick or someone like that comes to mind. You could really bring in a talented striker, and I think over a few seasons, you guys can turn this team into a team that hasn't got a great Premier League finish to a team that could compete for the Premier League in a few seasons. They've got the money. So as long as you guys take time to make the correct signings and you get good results, that's all you need, guys, at the end of the day. Like I said, it's not as easy as having this money. Like, you see this money, you'll yell, go and sign him, go and sign him. The first couple seasons, until you develop a reputation, you're not going to be able to sign all the players you want because they're not going to be interested. But one thing you can do is sign people that are hot prospects, develop them. They can then get you a better reputation. Then you can start to bring in these world-class players. So if you're up for a bit of a challenge and a bit of a rebuild, definitely try Newcastle United. Now, if you want an even tougher financial challenge than probably even Schalke, you want to find yourself with Derby County. Now, there's 2 save ideas you can do here. And the reason why I say there's 2 saves is because if you want the challenge of keeping them in the championship yourself, then you play on the don't download the new database from Sort It Out SI, and you'll find yourself in the championship with a 21-point deduction from the rip. So it's a very difficult challenge to stay up, but that's why I always advise that you do play on the old database for this, because it is quite a fun challenge to try and keep yourself in the championship with a bunch of players that are unhappy because of their contracts and, all of this going on. So it is a good challenge. But if you guys don't want that side of challenges, then download the new database where, the season's completed, they've been relegated, and then you can start in League One and do that'll be more of a long rebuild. But if you guys do want to have an instant challenge, do play on the current database, because you'll find yourself with a 21-point deduction, and it is very hard to keep them in the division. But if we go into a bit of the club info, obviously founded in 1884, finances in administration. We'll have a quick look. You are going to have absolutely nothing. You can hardly even pay the players. I'm going to be honest. The first season is hell, because you'll have players after a few games who want improved contracts. You can't give it to them. You are going to lose a lot of players, and it is going to be very difficult. But this is probably a great save for experienced Football Manager players, because you guys know exactly how to sort of manipulate things and get things going and stuff like that. But overall, I just feel like this is the perfect challenge. They haven't even got bad training facilities, not bad youth facilities. Definitely could work on junior coaching and youth recruitment. But this is a very, very tough challenge, guys, and it's something which you are going to have to be patient with, because it's not going to be a 2-season job. Like, even if you play in the championship, you survive in the championship, you're not going to get promoted in the first season. You're going to stay in the championship if you survive. Then you're going to have to get promoted, which you might not even do in the next season. So it might take a couple of seasons to even get up to the top flight. And then from there, you're going to have to stay in the division before you can start to rebuild consistently. But going into the squad then, the squad is looking disgusting. There's not many players at all. A lot of them are going to be pretty unhappy. There's going to be a lot of injury risk because you haven't got a lot of players. It is really difficult to manage, guys. Like, you can see there, the goalkeepers aren't the best. I'm not selling it to you guys for the reason that this is purely meant to be a challenge. This isn't meant to be an easy save. So I'm going to let you look at some of the players you got there. And, this guy, when I played with him, was the saving grace, but he's 34, so you can't rely on him a lot, to be honest with you. Obviously, you got Ravel Morrison and players like that. There are some good ability players like Max Bird, Liam Thompson, Bilak there. He actually looks quite good, deep line playmaker, looks quite a good player. But these are the players who, if an offer comes in, you're going to be forced to sell them because they need the money to get out of administration and sort of help them. But this is by far one of the toughest challenges you can do. Unless you're sort of talking about managing in the Conference League and going up to the Prem, then obviously that is slightly harder. But if you're on about trying to take a club that is very well known, that is in a real big problem at the moment, this is going to be the toughest save you can do. So if you're up for it, definitely give it a go. But be aware, it is going to take a few seasons to get back up into the Premier League and compete, because it's not going to be easy. But let's get in to the next save. If you guys are liking the save ideas so far, though, please do leave this video a like below. And again, please comment which one that you think you're going to do. There's loads to choose from. And obviously, I made this video just because myself, I find myself getting a bit bored of this game at the moment. So I'm trying to inspire myself to do a new save. And I have picked one of these. I'm not going to tell you which one, because that is going to be a new series. But yeah, that's going to be it. Also, please do subscribe to the channel, because there is going to be a new series dropping as well. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. But let's get in to the next save idea. Now, this one's going to be a bit of a mix, because this is more about a general idea you can do, which I'm pretty sure 60-70% of the community know you can do, but some people don't. What you want to do is, guys, you want to start off in unemployed, basically. You want to give yourself the lowest badge possible in coaching and past playing experience. You want to give yourself the lowest possible. And then basically what you want to do is you want to start off unemployed. So you basically don't have a job. So we'll just load in, for example. We'll get this loading in. So you start off with no job, right? And depending on how you set it up, you then look for jobs around Europe in all divisions. The more divisions, the funner it is. Make yourself available to even have jobs that are in the Conference League, in the lowest league of French football, German football, Spanish football, all the divisions. And if you really want to have some fun, go worldwide with it. Include South America, include North America. Because the reason why this is so fun is, and the point of this save, basically to get a job, by the way, guys, you just go onto job security and you can start applying for these jobs. That you can apply for job here, and you know you might get lucky and land a big job, but it is honestly funner. Start off at a smaller club and work your way up. And the reason why this is so fun, and it's called a Journeyman. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have heard of this idea, but if you haven't, definitely try it, because it will honestly keep you entertained for so many Football Manager seasons. It's really fun, honestly. It's a great idea. And basically, once you've got a job, the rough idea is, what I've gathered is you try and stay in that job for possibly 1 to 2 seasons. Obviously, if you really like it, stay in it for 3 seasons, but then you hop club. You go to another club. So you resign, go to another club. And the point of this is to gather as many different trophies as you can in your management career. And obviously you've got a great chance to gather some real different broad of trophies, because you could win a trophy in South America, you could then win one in France, you could win one in Portugal, you could win Europa League, you could then go and win the FA Cup the following year. Like, there's so many options, and it is a really fun idea, and it's something which, you know, also I've just seen there, you can obviously also do international jobs as well. So this is the perfect save if you guys are genuinely bored of managing one club. And when you start off with the lower coaching badges, you probably will find it hard to get a top tier job right away. So that'll give you experience in managing, like a Walsall there. I don't know if I'm going to get it right off the bat, but all you do is, guys, you simply click on available, go for apply for job, and then you pretty much just simulate and you go forward. We're not going to do this now, but that's actually put us back in the Derby save. But yeah, pretty much you wait for that, you'll get offered to go for an interview, they ask you loads of questions, and then you'll get told whether you're successful or not. You can apply for more than one job at a time, so something I do recommend. But honestly, if you guys are genuinely bored of Football Manager, do this, guys. It's a fantastic idea. And one thing I'll say before I go into the next save idea is, the best thing about it is you get to play with a variety of teams that you'll probably never even touch. You'd never have touched them if you didn't have to. And also you get to play with a wider spectrum of players. You get to play with some players that aren't that great, and then in a few years you could be managing your favourite club. So definitely something I recommend, and it is a very, very fun save. But let's get in to the next one. So we were on about a big challenge, right? And this is starting with a team that finds himself in Sky Bet League 2. Why Salford City? I've got a list of people that are linked to Salford City, and that's why it makes this saves it makes it special. Yeah, they obviously linked the likes of, not linked, but people that were involved, should I say. You've obviously got Beckham, Ryan Giggs, Gary Neville, Phil Neville, Paul Scholes. Just a few of the names that are linked and help out this club a lot. Obviously, Gary Neville is the main person that you sort of see interacting with the club and doing things for the club. But this team is just special purely based off that. The amount of players that are involved, ex-players that are involved in this club, is the reason why I think you should choose Salford City if you want to save in Sky Bet League 2. Now, this is going to be a Football Manager save that is going to take you guys a long time to work your way up to the Premier League, and it is going to be difficult because they don't have a massive amount of money. They've obviously got 50k because you are in League 2, so that possibly could even get you a player or something in this division. But this is purely about working with what you've got for the first few seasons and really building the team up. And obviously, like I said, it's not going to be a 5-minute job. This is definitely a save where if you're playing Football Manager a lot, you've got a lot of time, then hop onto this, guys, and really get stuck in, because the club is going to be, you know, obviously it was founded in 1940. It's not like a ridiculously new club, but obviously a lot of football players are sort of chipping in with it now, and that's why it makes the club so special. It really does, especially if you're a United fan, I feel, because a lot of the players are obviously ex-United, and it does obviously make you really want to get linked in with it, and it is a real good club as well. But if we look into some, obviously the facilities aren't the best either, so definitely something you're going to have to work on as well. If we go into the squad, it's not a massive squad, and we're not going to actually look into the players one by one, because to be honest, a lot of players we probably wouldn't have heard of, but potential-wise, you have got some good players. One thing I will say is, you have only got one player that is 30 years, two players that, no, okay, sorry, I keep miscounting. I'm going to say this, you've got a lot of players that are under 30, so to be fair, in your first couple of seasons, 3 seasons even, you're not going to have to worry about making signings, and I feel like that is a big thing, because you haven't got a lot of money anyway. And as you can see here from potential, you have got a reasonable amount of potential from quite a lot of the players there. Obviously, some older than the others. Transfer value, not a lot of, the players aren't worth a lot of money because you are in Sky Bet League 2. So, I mean, you are going to have to work your way up. And I'm not going to sit here and lie. You might not even automatically get promoted into Sky Bet League 1 in your first season because it is a challenge in this division. They always say the lower divisions are sometimes harder than the Premier League because if you think what's on the line for these clubs, they really want to get promoted. They really want to work their way up. And you've got to go head to head in a league where, you know, there's a lot of good teams that are trying to get out of this league, for example, like Barrow being a decent side there as well. Obviously, you have got the playoffs, which is a good situation to get into. If you're feeling confident, you can win through it. But obviously, it is doable, but you are going to have to make the right decisions, play the right teams, etc., etc. And, you know, one thing that you'll find with any club that you do in Sky Bet League 2, if you have a good season with a player, he does really well, there is a good opportunity he might get poached. So you're not going to always be able to keep them players that you want to keep, but that is just part of the game, guys, unfortunately. But what I will say is, this is, for me, I don't know if it's because I'm a United fan and a lot of people that link with it are United, as I keep saying, but this would be the perfect club to take into the Premier League because I feel like as much history as all of these clubs have got, there's just something about Salford which I really like. And I feel like if you could work them into the Premier League, and let's not forget, before we even get into that, let's forget that, you guys could have a shock run in any of these English Cups. It's happened before. You could have a shock knockout, like imagine you match up against even a team like Norwich City, for example, when you manage to get a result against them. Think of the emotion, think of the, you know, how much that would affect the club in a positive way. That is why managing a team in these lower divisions is sometimes really fun, because you appreciate beating teams which you don't really appreciate beating in other Football Manager saves. So definitely check this save out, guys, and let me know how you do if you do decide to go with them. But let's get in to the 10th and the final save idea, Football Manager 22. So the last save is from my Portuguese friends. Now, the reason why I chose this division out of all the other divisions I could have chose in Europe is because Benfica last won the title in 2019, so it's been a few years now. They always find themselves obviously in a sort of a race against the likes of, come on, where are they? Where are they? Let me find them. The likes of Sporting and Porto, there they are. Obviously, sort of a 3-horse race, and they're similar. Well, hear me out here. It's similar to the Serie A in the sense of there's always more than one team going for the title, and obviously each team can win it. And Benfica are a great club. We've all heard of Benfica. You've got a reasonable wage budget. You're not rich by any means of the imagination, but you're also not in the red. You're not bankrupt. And I feel like there is definitely potential for them to invest more if you have a good season, especially as 100% of the transfer revenue is already made available to you if you decide to offload anyone. Again, this is the big thing about Benfica, what I love about the club. Obviously, the facilities are outstanding. You've got a 5-star training and 5-star youth. The recruitment is fantastic. If you look at the top of my head, one of the players that comes to my mind is João Felix, obviously previously at Benfica. They do genuinely have had some real good players play for them. And their youth recruitment is 5 out of 5. So you're going to be able to pick up some great youth players. And it's something which I recommend you sort of base this save off. Instead of bringing in pre-made world-class players, develop some of your own players and bring in some young players and develop them yourselves, because it's what this club's about. And you're more than capable of winning the Premier Division. I think that's what it's called, isn't it? I hope so. It's not the Premier Division, is it? Why have I said that? But yeah, you're more than capable of winning the league with this. Obviously, there's always going to be a race on with Porto and also Sporting. They're both, all of them are great sides. And obviously, this Benfica team hasn't won since 2019. So the reason why I picked them is because I think like it is definitely, for me, it's the most attractive club in Portugal. I really like, you know, just I like the way the club runs with the youth players and all of this and all of that. And I feel like with the right, if you go into it with the right mindset, you bring in the right players, you can over a few seasons turn this team not only dominant in Portugal, possibly even go into Europe, into Europa League, into Champions League, etc., and try and make a name for yourself in there as well, because that's something which obviously Benfica haven't really done of late, is it? But it's something which you can do in a few seasons on Football Manager. if we look at the squad, then they've got a very, very big squad, a very big squad. And I think if we go into registration, the restrictions are slightly different. A couple of weird ones in here between obviously the birthdays and stuff like that, but they have got a lot of good players in this team. If we go to we'll go to ability first. Obviously, you've got Rafa. You got Lucas, Otamendi, previously in Man City, quite an old player there. Weigl, a very good player from previously from Germany. I believe he played for Dortmund, a very good midfielder there. Grimaldo, a fantastic left back. João Mario again. Neres again, a very good player. I believe a new signing for him, a very, very good winger in him. Vertonghen again. So one position I'll definitely say you might need some new centre backs because they are aging quite rapidly, I would say. Obviously Pizzi, a player we've heard of before. This guy is very, very good. I think, well, where did I sign him? I thought I signed him. I've definitely played with him though before. Very good player as well. This guy's a reasonable striker as well. You've got pretty good players, guys, all over the shop, I'm going to be honest. And you've also got people that can grow, like potential-wise. You've obviously got this guy, Paulo Bernardo. I'm a midfield player who's got a lot of potential to grow, only 19 years old. And you'll see that with a lot of Benfica players. This guy as well, 20 years old, breakthrough prospect, and to model citizen as well. And you'll have a lot of players that do have fantastic potential. And I feel like it's a really exciting team to play with because there's just so much going on. And they are known for developing some really great youngsters. And if you guys like to play Football Manager that way, so you like to develop players instead of buy pre-built strikers, for example, key example would be developing a guy like Ramos or buying Karim Benzema. If you prefer to develop players and make them your own, then this is probably one of the best saves you can do. And it would be a very fun save because you're not going to instantly go in and consistently dominate everything because you've got two teams that are just as good as you, if not a bit better in some areas. So definitely something which you guys would have to work on. And it is a very fun save. And as I said, I'll go over it again. Finances aren't too bad. The club info is very, very good in terms of the facilities. Absolutely incredible. Obviously, they've got history down here as well. They've actually won quite a bit in their time as a club as well. But no, that is going to be all of the 10 ideas, guys. If you have enjoyed this video, guys, then please do leave a comment below of what save you think you're going to do now that you've seen all 10. Please also leave a like on the video as well, and be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel because this way it helps the channel grow. If you never want to miss an upload again, please also hit the notification bell. This way you'll get a little notification pop up when I upload, when I live stream, when I premiere a video, and when I do a community post. I do these community posts basically to sort of get your opinion on what videos you want to see, especially when it comes to tactics. But that is going to be all for today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.